What's up guys, and welcome to my level 22 defense video. As always, let's take a look at the defense itself before we jump into replays. So let's start off where you would be starting. So you run in, this room kind of looks familiar, it's the same room that I used in my last video. The room is the same, but not necessarily the defense setup. I used to have my jelly wall defense set up in here. I left a couple jelly walls around the outside of this spike trap. I'm not sure if this is going to stay very long. This room is definitely one of the, I guess, weaker points, but it's not necessarily that big of a deal. The main thing is you don't want them to kite into this room and have an easy time fighting around in here. There is a little spot over here that they can fight down in this area and probably in some of these corners area in here without having any trap pressure, but at the same time you could go all the way back to the start and have no trap pressure out there as well. So I didn't think that was a big deal. Just enough ballista traps and jelly walls to kind of make people think twice about backtracking through my castle. So we've got a couple tombstones in here because this is the first area where I have some mobs. We have two Zeeks. I tried to keep them the most out of the way so that you kind of get aggroed here and you don't really have great angles on actually shooting and killing them. It's possible that you might be able to headshot one of these Zeeks from down in this area of the tunnel. Honestly, this creature setup is definitely open to interpretation. Like, you can put whatever creature you really want in here. Generally good to have some sort of sustained damage in here. I use Zeeks because they have the potential to kill people, but having two Zeeks and two Defendatrons in the same group means that one of the Zeeks is going to run away for a little while until they start to engage the rest of the group, and then he'll start firing afterwards. Unless you, I think you can kill off one of the Defendatrons, and then as long as you damage the Zeke somehow, then two Zeeks and one Defendatrons can all attack. I'm not sure exactly how the points all add up. I just kind of threw them in there because I thought it was a good idea to have two different Zeeks and two Defendatrons guarding them. They're also on Bodyguard. I used to have it on the AoE. I switched it over to Bodyguard recently. Just because, you know, the all-in-the-one kind of defense doesn't really work anymore. So I sufficiently limited down my boss room defense, and I kind of changed it over a little bit into kind of three groups, but two of them are so close together that it kind of works as kind of the same group. But either way, this is what I have here. And then we start to get into the fun area up in here, where I have this setup here. So I have, I like this room specifically because of the amount of trap generators you can get in actually making this work. But there are definitely other rooms that can work just as well. So I would say that the main important things is, you can see I have a fire mine set up here. And I think the main important things about having a fire mine setup that works is, first, you have to have some pressure on the entrance side. So you need to have something that slows them down and enough ballista traps that they don't want to just walk to the edge of this. Because basically, springboard traps, you can kite them by just stepping on them for a second and coming off, stepping on them for a second and coming off, and just doing that all the way down the entire length of your, springboard into fire mines. So you want to have a sufficient amount of defense here that it makes them so that they don't want to just kind of walk through the jelly wall and then kind of play around with doing this. At least enough to force out one potion, so that even if they do it and then if they mess up or something, then they're probably going to end up dead because they've just used a potion or anything like that. I mean, you want to force out at least one potion out of this entire trap setup, and hopefully one potion here and then two potions into the boss room, and then maybe someone can die from your castle. But generally, people are going to try to roll through this instead, get hit on either one of the first or second springboard traps, and then thrown into the fire mines. I also have a acid mine right here, so that if they do decide to walk through this, the acid mine will trigger right on the edge of the jelly wall, and then it'll go off, and now you're a little bit weaker on your defense, so that if you do get flung over there and make a mistake or whatever, you'll almost certainly die. I also have one right on the edge here, another acid trap. So I just try to get that debuff on so that you take a little bit more damage when entering into the fire mines themselves. I have a couple jelly walls on the outsides just to slow down movement, because generally people are going to roll over this. Sometimes people kite, but generally they'll roll over this. So when they get to this point, they don't really have an escape ability ready. They won't have roll, they won't have the electric charge or whatever the mage one is, or charge on night. So they're going to have to try to walk through these jelly walls or walk towards up into here. Which in that case they'll be silenced. So then we have this snotter here. and this Snouter here, and it's not quite reaching the way I would like it to. I'll have to tweak that before I rerun my castle. As you can see, it's not currently validated because I upgraded my Count Nottingham late last night. I got enough life force to do it. So for most of these replays, the Count Nottingham will be one full tier lower than he should necessarily be. But that, like I said, that's not really a big deal because Count Nottingham, his main purpose is to aggro these guys back here. Himself, he does decent damage, but it's not like so much that it'll take away from your kills all that much. The majority of your kills should come from this Fire Mine setup. This is kind of the big kill zone that I have in my castle. The rest of it is enough sustain damage and enough Zeeks that they could get lucky shots. But generally when I wipe out all of my gravestones, I have the majority of them when I log in right in this area. I already looted a couple out of here. I have 2 more right here. So generally you'll see most of the deaths in that area. So next off we have some silences around here. I'm not sure if these are actually effective. I just threw them in because I thought they would be good. But I haven't actually seen them do all that much work, so it might be kind of just a wasted amount of points. And I might want to switch this out for either more traps in a different area of my castle, or another, couple mobs somewhere in here. And then some ballistas on the outside to put on a little bit of extra pressure in this area. So this is the basic area, and what I like about this is that it's in the middle of my castle. So if you aggro the boss room, you kind of have to either go forward into the unknown, or try to fight in this area, or have to come all the way through it, and then all the way through it again. So the majority of my traps are kind of in the center of my castle, so that like wherever they go through my castle, if they have to kite backwards and then come forwards, they have like the highest percentage chance of actually taking more damage from traps. So that's kind of the idea for having it in the middle of my castle, not in the front or anything like that. Then we come in, we have Count Nottingham. He's going to aggro 2 Defendatrons, which will guard these 2 Zeeks, and then the one in the back will probably not even get aggroed anyway because of the hard cap and all of that sort of thing. There's too many mobs here. They won't all get aggroed at the same time, but I think at least 2 Zeeks will get aggroed, at least after Count Nottingham is dead. So that's the idea here. A little bit more, and then we have a bunch more trap pressure out in here. Just a couple traps just to kind of have them there. And obviously there's a little spot always in the back of castles that you can fight as well. So basically my entire castle, besides like this area up here, way up in the top of the boss room, and all the way back in the entrance, has trap pressure. And then I have this one major kill zone with a lot of Zeeks and 1 IMAX. I saw a couple people asking me when they kind of walked through my castle why I don't use Stairmasters. And as previously, I'm pretty sure they still haven't been buffed, this ability on Stairmasters is very weak until you get up to level 28. For some reason, at level 28, I believe you get up to like rank 7 or rank 4. I'm not sure exactly which one it is. But getting up to that rank increases the Ominous Orb damage by like 300%. It's a really big upgrade from 24 to 28. So in order to use this Ominous Orb, you kind of have to use IMAXs at these lower levels. But that's pretty much it, so let's jump into some replays. First of all, we can kind of go down to the bottom, and we'll just scroll up really quick to see the generally how many times you win to lose, and majority of the time I'm winning. A lot of these guys, you have to note, are fans from me, and they just kind of practice through my castle. So a lot of the practices in here, you have like a level 17. You're never really going to get a level 17 unless you have friends attacking your castle, or you're a YouTuber or something like that. So a lot of these attacks are indeed practices, but you do have enough wins in here that you can kind of see that the majority of it is wins. And then once in a while you'll have a couple defense losses. My timer itself is very competitive. I don't think I've been 3-starred by anyone who is like level 24 or lower. Maybe 25 and above can 3-star my castle. But my time for this entire castle is like 1 minute and 11 seconds. And a lot of people ask me how I do that, and it's just because I have good gear and I'm pretty experienced with the archer. But yeah, as we go through, I mean, some of the losses are also like level 29s who are also fans of my channel and stuff like that. So you kind of have to weigh it both ways, where you can see that the majority of the attacks are wins, and a lot of these losses are also practices. So it seems like a pretty good castle. I have like some days where I lose crowns, some days where I gain crowns. I believe today was like a 20 crown increase. Yesterday was a 50 crown decrease. So for the most part, I mean, it's hard to keep with a positive crown ratio just because people have multiple attacks where they can, like, you can see this guy that I was looking at earlier. You have this same guy who Wait, no, that's not the right one. Where is he? I think it's Tiero. He attacks my castle enough where he finally is able to get through it somewhere up in here. I don't know. It's one of these guys where they initially lost to my defense and then they kept doing it until they won. And because I have so many crowns, if like you have a lower amount of crowns, you can lose to my castle at first, and then even if you like 1 or 2 star it later on after you've done a couple of attempts at it, you'll still gain more crowns than I have because that's just how crowns work. But they are working on fixing that a little bit, and I believe they may have already implemented a system where you can only attack like 15 minutes worth of time, and then if you die again after those 15 minutes, you'll lose crowns again, which I like that sort of system. I think that's a step in the right direction for sure. So let's jump into some replays. We'll just watch some that are like roughly around my level. So we're not going to watch level 28. We'll watch like this guy's first attempt, I think, level 21. Mage, let's watch him. He's got a 1 minute and 17-second replay here. So a lot of people do find this Life Force mine over here. It's not uncommon that they would anyway. It's just there just in case people forget about it, and then you get an extra star possibly. And keep in mind my timer is 1 minute and 11 seconds. Like, you have to see how ridiculous it is to get through this castle in that amount of time. It's very difficult. He probably won't even make it to the fire mine setup by the time that this pings out. A lot of people don't, and it's quite difficult. I probably ran my castle 20 times or so to get this time down as much as I could. And I think that's one way that defenders have quite a bit of an advantage right now in terms of like forcing people to only get 2 stars. Like, I think you can, as long as you have decent gear and you know the entire setup of your castle, so you can kind of know all these little tricks about it to make it easier for yourself to get a better time. And that's kind of why I'm not going to, go through it and try to get that time again, because I don't want to reveal all the secrets to my defense. It's bad enough that I show it on YouTube and, everybody tries to do it after they see it and stuff like that. Alright, so this is kind of the main thing that's going to happen, is you're going to have a lot of people that are going to come in and die to that fire mine setup. And quite a few also to the Zeeks as well, especially if they're lower level and they can't handle 2 level 22 Zeeks right up at front. Alright, let's check out this one here, I guess. Although I think he attacked earlier, he lost and then he won, or maybe he won and then he lost again. I don't really know exactly what happened. Either way, this is going to be a win, 47 seconds. Looks like it's probably going to be the Zeeks that'll get this kill. But it's possible that it could be the fire mines as well. Alright, so it looks like... Alright, so it's going to be the fire mines again. So yeah, roll onto it, get thrown into it, and then ends up dying. And that's even with one of these spiral shot skills as well. A lot of the times when you take roll and spiral shot, it's a lot easier to get through those areas. But you have to be pretty quick about it. It's still definitely possible to die. Alright, so let's look for some more replays. We went through those already. We could look at Redeemers, castle level, or hero levels of 21. Mage. Try to find some knights as well. Alright, 3-minute replay. I'll just 2x it for right now. I might slow it down when it gets to, interesting areas. But it looks like he's probably going to make it to the boss room. And I actually do remember watching this replay, so this guy's actually a pretty good attacker. He makes it to my boss room with 0 potions, which is pretty impressive. And actually almost is able to do my castle. I think if he had 1 potion, he would have been able to do it pretty easily. Probably only 2-star it because my time is absurd. You can see it right here. I mean, he's at 50 seconds right now. He's got 20 seconds to kill the rest of my castle, and he's just gotten started. Also, it doesn't really give people time to look around your castle like he's doing now. Like, he's trying to find the most ideal way of actually doing this. You can see he was trying to kite those ballista shots before he was able to, went across these. because he kind of wanted to get over into the jelly area, and that's why you have that jelly wall there, is because if you are able to just roll or use this thing over these 4 springboard traps, it's not quite long enough, and you'll be able to make it all the way across. So that's why you have this jelly wall here. It looks like there's a small problem here where my IMAX isn't getting aggroed, so I'm gonna have to work on that before I revalidate my castle as well. Because you could see he killed the Snotter over here, but it didn't aggro the IMAX, so I'll have to work on that a little bit. Not a big deal because I don't think you can get around the IMAX either way. So it should be fine. It's possible that maybe the trap or something killed the creature and it didn't aggro it. I'm not really sure, I wasn't paying attention. Could have been a ballista that killed the Snotter, and that's why it didn't aggro. Or even something weird like silence makes it so that they don't aggro. I'm really not sure. That could be something that I have to look into as well. So we'll speed this up. He basically just kites around, does some pretty decent damage, and heals himself as much as possible with Death Bolt, but eventually he does take a bad Zeke shot and ends up getting himself killed. But it's pretty good to be able to make it this far without using a potion. I don't think I'm even able to do that. I'm a little bit careless when I run my own castle because I'm trying to do it for speed rather than using potions. So I will overuse the, use of potions. I will use potions a lot more than I necessarily need to if I was going through it as like an attacker. Because potions are free, so why not use them? You have 4, go through it as quickly as possible and try to get a good time. Alright, so here we have a level 29 knight that actually dies to my castle. It's a practice attack, so it's, a fan or something, but pretty good that a level 29 will die, as long as it's not like someone who just leaves out of my castle. But it looks like he does end up dying, probably to the fire mines. That's the good thing about fire mines, is they can net you kills that you necessarily shouldn't get if you're using mobs. Because it's a lot of, really compressed damage all in one area. Initially I really didn't like fire mines, but once you get upgraded springboard traps, they do get a little bit better. The delay is quite a bit less and stuff like that, so... You shouldn't almost... I don't know if you necessarily need to use fire mines at the end of springboard traps. I think you can use something different that might be like the same effect. I'll have to look into it to see if I can make anything work. I'm not gonna, it's like... It has to do with, Stairmasters and the Hunger Bots and pulling people into those purple Stairmaster eyeballs. It used to be an effective way of killing people a couple months ago, and I'm wondering if that could actually make a comeback in open creation. I was trying to do a little bit of something like that at level 20, but it wasn't really working for me. So, I'll have to see if I can do something now that I'm at level 22 and possibly 24. Alright, let's take a look at maybe this first archer, Rascal, level 21 archer. Although at level 24 I do want to make a castle that's revolving around spike traps, because that's when they get their 3 active panels, and it gets quite a bit better, so I want to try something with that. Those castles can be pretty difficult as well, although I find them a little bit easier than Firebind setups, at least currently. I'm good at kind of figuring out which panel is going to be active and then leaping over to the next one that's not going to be active and stuff like that. That's definitely something that you have to do against those type of castles, or else you'll take way too much damage. I've tried to be careless over them, and you just take way too much. You have to use like 2 potions just to get through 1 room of spike traps. Alright, so he ends up dying to one of the Zeeks. This is one that gets killed on those Zeeks. So we can take a look at this, level 26 archer, although I'm pretty sure he's made it through my castle a couple times as well.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Alright. So it looks like he's going to make it through this part pretty easily. Well, he's taking a few hits, but he hasn't had to use a potion yet. let's see how he handles the fire mines. This might be where he dies, might not be. It looks like he does get pushed, but he is able to roll out of the way. And that's because he hit 3 of these springboard traps. If you hit 3 or more of those, you won't be stunned long enough, and you'll be able to leap away. And for that reason, at level 24, you might want to think about, is it level 20 or 24 that you get dampeners? Whichever one you get dampeners on, alright, he takes a Zeke shot to the face. But whenever you get dampeners, it might be a good idea to throw in a dampener right at the end of this, and I'm not sure if it would work or not, but for the same reason you would have these silence traps, instead you could have a dampener right at the edge here, and you could just be waiting for this guy to get thrown here, and then hopefully you could get a silence bubble on top of them before they're able to roll away. And that type of thing might work pretty well. I saw something similar in a castle where you got thrown down a hallway of springboard traps, and there was a dampener waiting to silence you, and then you were launched into a jelly wall, and then you had Zeeks kind of lining up their shots as well. So you'd take like 2 Zeke shots and be silenced and be inside of a jelly wall, and that would force the Zeke shots to hit. And it was a pretty interesting setup. I did find a way around it, but it was pretty cool. So back to replays. Let's see. Alright, level 19s, we're not going to watch those. We could watch this level 22 mage that actually manages to make it through, since we haven't had a loss yet. Again, 2 stars, 4-minute timer on my 1-minute timer, so definitely not going to be a problem. I don't think I've been 3-starred yet, but I haven't seen like every single one of my replays. I usually get attacked like 100 times a day, so sometimes older attacks get scrolled off. So I'm not sure, if you have been one that has 3-starred my castle. I'm sorry if I'm saying that I haven't been, but I haven't seen anyone 3-star my castle yet. And I think I could probably cut this time down to maybe 59 seconds, but it's pretty competitive. I remember I was at 116 and I kept doing it over and over again, trying to get my time down just slightly. And I got it down to 111, like I did a pretty much perfect run of my castle. Alright, so he ends up pulling them out. If anyone pulls creatures out to this room, they'll never be able to make it through the time. Like, that's definitely not the way to do it. You can pretty easily fight. Like, this fight over here is about the same as if he would have fought in the room that they got aggroed in. You take almost more damage going over the spike trap and through these ballista traps again than you would normally just fighting inside of this room here. There's only two ballista traps putting pressure on that big area. You should be able to fight them in there pretty easily. Alright, so that's kind of why the jelly walls are there. If he was able to get away from if he was able to just walk normally without this jelly wall being here, he wouldn't have taken this like half health worth of damage from the fire mines. So, when things start to go bad, you want to try to make the best out of a bad situation, Alright, so he's going to end up pulling back again. Let's see how far he ends up going backwards. It looks like just to this area, but I don't think that's going to be far enough. He's only going to get the boss. He's going to have to pull back even farther, I think.
Your existence will soon be obliterated.
So that's the good thing about spike traps, is once you get up to that point where you can make like a maze of spike traps, it's very difficult to backtrack through a castle that has a lot of spike traps. You can't take that kind of sustained damage that, from defense points that aren't going to drop you health blows. So that's why I'm kind of excited about getting my 3-panel spike trap, so I can kind of throw those in. Because when you're being chased by mobs, you can't really take the time to time things out on spike traps and make it so that you don't take as much damage. You kind of just have to go backwards, or else you're going to take more damage from creatures. Alright, he's just going to kind of do his best to abuse the AI by using corners, although he is taking a little bit of damage here. And almost dies a couple of times, but he does well either way. And that should be, I think, the last creature in my castle. Actually, there's one Defendatron, so I need to work on this pull here. Definitely. And then you gotta kill off all the mines. No big deal. And he ends up making it through with 2 stars. And not much loot, because I literally almost have no... Like, this is the most loot that I have had in my castle for a night for, like, a very long time. because I finally actually made it up to this level 22 area, and I can kind of sit back and have a decent defense right now, and then I'll work towards level 24 and do another video at 24 as well. I'll probably do 24, 26, 28, and 30 for defense guides, and I'll do a couple at 30, and I may even start another account now that we're in open beta, and do some at the lower levels as well. I'm just kind of waiting for them to get the balancing to where they want it, because right now they're still going to be frantically doing balance changes and stuff like that in every pack most likely, because there's a lot of things that are definitely going to need to be changed. Alright, so we just watched a mage. Let's see if we can find like another archer or a knight. Alright, so this guy's only level 15. I'm not going to watch that one. We can find a knight that actually makes it through. I actually think this castle should be weaker to knights than the other two classes, because they are able to tank through that fire mine, and you are putting so much into that fire mine setup that if you're able to just tank through it, even if it works properly, you have a way better chance of actually getting through. With 4,000 hit points, I don't think there's enough fire mines there to do that kind of damage. Maybe if you had the debuff on you as well, but I don't know. But I mean, to put it all in comparison, like he's about halfway through my timer right about now. So he's like not even halfway through my castle. He's just on the first group, and I was finishing my castle up in about like 20 seconds or so, 25. It's definitely a very competitive time that I have on my castle right now. And that's what I think people should do. If you don't mind running your own castle over and over again, try to get really good at it. Do like a speed run of your castle and just keep doing it until you kind of find the best overall way of actually getting through it in time. If you have a castle where you can barely make it through, then I guess I guess you probably don't want to do that, but any sort of validation at that point would be good. I haven't currently found a castle that's so difficult that, I could just keep trying to validate it, and as soon as I get one validation, it'll pretty much win against everybody. Although this one does pretty well. Even though I'm probably able to beat my own castle about 60% of the time, I would say. Over half, for sure. Alright, so he does end up getting thrown on this, but he was able to charge away. And that's one thing, again. Like I said, if you get hit by the first one and you have enough like backwards acceleration, so you don't get thrown as far, you'll get thrown to like the second one or something and not thrown all the way on. If you can hit 3 springboard traps, you'll be able to make an action before the fire mine setup goes off.
Get over here, big guy.
Alright, so he's probably just going to do a lot of kiting and dodging and slowly pick off the Zeeks one by one, because as he's able to pick off the Zeeks, that's pretty much where the DPS comes from. So once the Zeeks are gone, you don't have much to worry about. I think Knights have a harder time in the boss room, though, because they almost have to take Ballista trap damage. And they have to pick their spots really well. And that sort of thing is super annoying. Zeke is at like 1 hit point and he's got defended by a Defendatron. Was able to push it away though. Good move by him. Alright, so this is pretty much all the DPS gone. We'll 2x it from here. And then we'll find one more replay, and I'll jump into it before we end the video. Alright. And then just finding the mines and getting through. Alright, let's find one more replay. Looking for anyone that's... Here's a knight that we win against. Level 22 knight. And I didn't go into the right replay. Hold on. There we go. Alright. It's a little bit of a long one, so we'll 2x it for a little while. He might end up reviving, I'm not sure. He doesn't actually rotate his camera, which is good for me. You do realize that I do have this set up so that if you don't rotate your camera, you're heading downwards, so that you have less screen size, so you have like less to work with and stuff like that. It's still something that you might as well do, just in case someone doesn't rotate, because he's taking more Zeke shots than he necessarily should be because of that. with camera rotation, it's not nearly as big of a deal, but you do run into some people who don't use it. Alright, so he does a decent job at cutting across that, but he still takes the brunt of the damage. He was able to tank through it. I can't quite see how many hit points he has. There it is. 3,160. And he was just barely about able to tank through it. So it looks like he's probably going to end up just kiting around until he takes a big Zeke shot and ends up dying from it.
Potion me! Stat! Ah,
Or actually, he might run out of potions. He doesn't have really good potions for his level. They're at level 9 potions for level 22, so he doesn't have quite enough healing to make it through this.
Potion me! Stat! I gotta lighten the load a bit before I can grab anything else. This really.
So yeah, every time he stops to attack, he's taking a couple of Zeke shots, and he doesn't have any potions left now. So it's only a matter of time until he takes one more shot that ends up killing him.
Whoa. I need to get out of here.
Looks like right now he's just trying to break as many mines as possible and steal as much as he can before he dies. But yeah, that's going to be the video. So we'll have one last look at the overall castle. And you know, I'm not using all of my rooms because of the reason that I want to have as much trap pressure as possible. So if I added in another room, I wouldn't be able to put any traps in it. So there's no real reason to do that when you make your own timer. You know, no reason to have empty rooms in your castle, unless for some reason you want to have like a mine way out here that you hope people skip or something like that. I'm not really interested in all of that, but I'd rather just make a really competitive time, and it works kind of the same way. So that's pretty much it. That's going to be the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. As always, if you guys enjoyed it, please subscribe and all of that. And yeah, I look forward to making the next one. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.